The Quikrete Companies considers safety to be one of our core principles. And so, Vision Zero is our motto when it comes to safety. Vision Zero means having zero accidents, and that all accidents are preventable. Our industry faces various hazards and challenges. This is why we have taken steps to maintain safe and healthy working conditions and develop safe operating procedures. Maintaining an injury-free environment is our ultimate goal and is a responsibility shared by everyone. Our company's vision is to promote and maintain safe, healthy, and environmentally sound working conditions for all of our employees. In order to cement our dedication to this vision, your plant has established critical rules to help pledge our dedication to an injury-free workplace. Just about every facility has the following critical rules. Number 1. Never operate machinery that has missing or damaged guarding, or never bypass guards. Number 2. No unauthorized entry into confined spaces is allowed without a permit. Number 3. Making sure you use all safety devices on mobile equipment, such as the seatbelt or horn, or applying the parking brake on your forklift. Your facility may have a critical rule such as no cell phone use while working out on the plant floor or on equipment, or using fall protection if you work at heights above 4 feet, or using 3 points of contact when climbing equipment, or unauthorized work on electrical panels with training and proper PPE is not permitted. In addition to the critical rules, the company has established zero tolerance rules. Violations to our lockout-tagout program and violations to our substance abuse program will not be tolerated. Although there are more critical or zero-tolerance rules your site may have besides these, we feel that failure to follow these rules can lead to serious injury or even death. As an employee, it is your responsibility to follow all safety work rules and procedures. Your ongoing support in maintaining the safety culture at your plant goes beyond simply knowing these rules. If you observe an unsafe condition anywhere at your facility, you must report it. This video is dedicated to improving the standards of safety for you and your fellow coworker. We hope it provides you with a better understanding of the potential hazards associated with your job duties. This video is not intended to replace the training provided to you by your supervisor or manager. Additional site training for your specific work area or equipment may be necessary. Remember, if you are uncertain about any detail of a specific task, ask your supervisor for instruction. When it comes to safety, there are no bad questions. After all, it's about achieving our goal of Vision Zero and making sure you go home and do the things you enjoy doing with your family. Chances are you have never been injured in a machine. You may not know anyone who has been hurt in a machine either. But in the manufacturing industry, machine accidents happen all the time. In the U.S., it is estimated that there are around 15,000 machine accidents each and every year. These accidents result in horrible injuries like crushing of a body part, or amputations, electric shock, and even blindness. Many different types of guards are used to protect you from the machinery in your plant. A barrier guard prevents a person from contacting a moving piece of equipment by covering that machine in running nip point. It is the most common type of guard you will see at your plant. These guards are fixed, and you should never remove them, bypass them, or adjust them in any way at any time when the equipment is operational. Permanent solid guards are the preferred method of guarding our machinery, but at times you'll encounter other types of guarding throughout your facility. As far as e-stops, e-switches, and pull cords, they are not considered the same as guarding, but rather they are considered complementary to the guards. Don't rely exclusively on pull cords or e-stops as a form of guarding or lockout-tagout. There are likely numerous conveyors located in your plant. Most conveyors you'll see are belt conveyors. Bags of product or aggregate are conveyed on a rubber belt. As the belt meets the head pulley or the front of the conveyor, one major nip point is created at that junction point. And if you can see this nip point, then you can get your finger or hand or whatever part of your body into that point. There are different ways to guard this area, through barrier guards or rubber flaps. Whichever guarding is at your plant, report it if it ever gets moved, displaced, or worn. One of the most important conveyor nip points to watch for is at the end of a conveyor and a free spinning roller, or for that matter, a stationary object like a plate, table, or flip bar. Even a gap of just more than a quarter inch is enough to catch your finger, especially if you are wearing gloves. Bags may get stuck in this gap. If you don't disengage the power and lock out the conveyor properly first, it may catch your finger and pull the rest of your hand or arm in, resulting in severe injuries. Emergency pull cords are situated in such a way so that if you fall onto the conveyor, you can quickly engage the cord and shut the conveyor off. The best way to protect yourself is to never bypass the guarded area or reach around anywhere close to the nip point, unless you are under lockout-tagout conditions. There are other conveyor systems at our plants. Take for instance the transport conveyors that move block or pavers on plates at the wet side or dry side of a block or pavestone plant. If a block or paver falls through the conveyor system, never reach through the machinery to retrieve the block. Again, disengage the machine and use lockout-tagout. Pay attention to roller conveyors. Some are powered just enough to allow to help push the product to where it needs to go. These rollers are powered by rubber bands underneath. You may not get hurt between the product and the roller in these situations, but you surely will if the product weighs 3,500 pounds. So never access this area and reach anywhere near where the bottom of the pallet meets a roller as it is traveling. You may lose a finger. Power transmission devices include belts and pulleys. These are guarded not only to keep your hands and fingers out of the moving parts, but also in case the belt breaks and whips out. Chain and sprockets are found throughout our plants to drive machinery and conveyors. Some are out of reach. Remember to report any defective guards if you can see the chain and sprockets underneath. A smooth rotating shaft is usually cut down or covered. However, even if it was cut short, a notch, keyway, or any other snag-like projection can still catch your clothing and is still a hazard. So be careful where you stand or reach, as your clothing may be caught. This is why long hair or clothing is not allowed in our facilities. This video cannot point out every possible nip point that exists at every facility. However, here are a few examples of other important machine guards. If your plant is equipped with an automatic rotary bagger or haver machine, then guarding is likely already in place. The access door should remain closed during normal operations. Although there are e-stop bars inside, never rely on emergency stops. The same could be said for robot bag placers and robot palletizers. Robot machinery is dangerous, and area guarding or light curtains should never be bypassed during operations. Occasional entry is needed to make adjustments, unjam, or clean up drop bags. Remember to use lockout-tagout, an alternative method to protect yourself during these activities. Perimeter guarding surrounds a lot of our machinery. However, if you encounter an area missing its guard, whether it's at the cuber, the splitter, the block machine, or an uncovered screw conveyor, shut the machine down and let your supervisor know. Finally, don't bypass a guard just because it'll take 5 seconds to correct a bag or block. It's better to lose 5 minutes of your life to use lockout-tagout than it is to lose a finger or arm in those 5 seconds. Your plant's lockout-tagout program or policy is an important part of your workplace operations. It is in place to protect you and your fellow coworker from being hurt by the energy needed to run that stretch wrap machine, or the bag flattener and conveyor, mixer, cuber machine, or even the robot palletizer. To control hazardous energy, we must first understand the various types of energy sources that we may find in the workplace. Most of us think of electrical power, and it is indeed a major source of energy at our plants. But we also have to keep in mind the pneumatic energy, or the hydraulics needed to lift this reject lift, for example, or the chemical or gas energy needed to run the dryer. All these energy sources need to be eliminated prior to working on the machine. Even the force of gravity needs to be controlled when going under the elevator of the palletizer, such as with a pin or a bar. To perform useful work on a machine, you have to know how to control and or eliminate the energy sources of that machine before you start working on it. One of these ways is simply applying a lock and tag, hence the name of this program called Lockout Tagout. The application of a lock and tag is designed to prevent the unexpected energization of the machine or equipment while you are working on it. A big part of effectively protecting yourself during servicing and maintenance is the type of devices you use for lockout-tagout. There are many types of lock devices. For a simple disconnect, there is a simple lock. But sometimes there may be more than one person, so a hasp will be needed to allow up to 6 people to lock out that disconnect. The locks at your plant should be standardized in shape and size, and should not be confused with any other locks. They should be used only for lockout purposes and not used on lockers or for personal reasons. They are required to be durable to withstand the environment and strong enough so that only bolt cutters could remove them. If you lose your key, let your supervisor know immediately. The process of lockout should be clearly identifiable as to who the person is conducting the work. That is why tags are required with the locks. The tag shall have a warning and should be attachable. They should be strong enough to stay in place. Some locks have a tag built into them, and this is acceptable as long as the warning and the employer name ID is clear. Most of us think of the maintenance employees at our plant who are required to apply their lock and tag. But maintenance and servicing isn't just the installation, replacement, or modification of a machine. It is also other activities, such as unjamming a bag on the conveyor, or cleaning bags underneath the palletizer. Changing a roller on the stretch wrap machine could be considered servicing the machine as well. Other activities that require a lock and tag include lubrication, or even a simple inspection whereupon you have removed the guard to get a better view. There are 3 types of employees in this program: authorized, affected, and other. Authorized employees are the only ones permitted to perform lockout-tagout. They are the ones who conduct the maintenance or will conduct servicing. They should be familiar with the details and the methods for controlling energy sources of whatever machine they are working on. Servicing includes unjamming, so be sure to ask yourself, am I authorized and trained on the lockout procedure to be in this machine? Affected employees are those who simply perform their duties in the area where lockout-tagout could be taking place. They should understand that they are prohibited from removing a lock or attempting to restart a machine. Affected employees must be notified and informed on which machines or equipment will be shut down and locked out. They should not be asked to assist in the maintenance or take place in servicing until they have gone through the authorized employee training themselves. It is critical that all employees understand that maintenance includes activities such as lubrication, cleaning, or unjamming of machinery. Therefore, unjamming that bag or cleaning that block in the conveyor system is covered under the lockout-tagout standard. If the jam is unexpected and it is not a regular repetitive occurrence, then you need to apply lockout-tagout as if you are a maintenance employee. The good news is that you hold the key to safety at your company by following the lockout-tagout procedures developed by your plant. Electricity is an essential part of our society and in our plants. It is used all day, every day, so much so that we probably take it for granted and forget about the dangers associated with it. Thousands of workers are injured or killed every year from the hazards of electricity in both the workplace and at home. Electrocution, for example, occurs when electricity flows through the heart and causes it to become erratic and fibrillate, which can cause death. Electrical cords are an obvious concern regarding electrical safety. These things can get abused day in, day out. They get jerked out of the socket, around sharpeners, are only to be used on a temporary basis. They should be collected and properly after use. Check the cords if tears, frays, or burns. Make sure prongs are accounted for. Tape. Outlet covers must be in good condition and in place. If you ever notice a cover missing, or if it doesn't look right, notify your supervisor immediately. Electrical panels or disconnects must always be accessible, so do not store materials in front of them. When it comes to these electrical panels, breakers, and disconnects, you are not allowed to work on them, open the door to reset a breaker, or even throw the switch down to lock it out, unless you have undergone a more comprehensive training on arc flash safety. There is the risk, although small, of an arc flash explosion. Unauthorized work on electrical panels may be a violation of your plant's critical rules as well. Your plant's electrical safety program designates those employees who may work on panels. So remember, never take electricity for granted at your facility. Its effects can be devastating. Understanding the characteristics of a forklift is very important, not only for the operator, but also for the pedestrian, especially when it comes to the turn radius. A forklift turns using the back wheels, and therefore can turn on a dime. So be careful and watch the tailspin of a forklift. A typical forklift at your plant also weighs a lot more than the pallet of concrete or block it will be picking up. So not only is the lift carrying the weight of several thousand pounds, the forklift actually weighs 4 to 5 times more than a typical car. Because of this weight, a forklift cannot stop on a dime, and therefore operators know they should never pass another forklift going in the same direction. Not only is this dangerous for the operator, but also for pedestrians. Understanding the stability of a forklift is very important as an operator and even as a pedestrian, mainly because the forklift will be used to lift heavy pallets of product. At our plants, pedestrian safety is not an issue to be overlooked. Studies show that close to 20 to 25% of all forklift accidents involve a pedestrian. People are going to come in proximity of forklifts during the course of the day, and therefore some basic steps should be taken to ensure pedestrians are kept safe. Now, the law requires the operator to give the pedestrian the right of way, but two-way communication is vital. Too many times there are pedestrians that walk around without realizing that the forklift, combined with the load he is carrying, can weigh up to 6 or 7 small cars worth of weight. So the pedestrian has to help by not taking risks. Sometimes a pedestrian is not aware of your forklift's presence, or can be complacent, or in violation of being on a cell phone while walking through the plant. As a pedestrian, you should make your presence known by vocal and eye contact with the operator before crossing behind or in front of the forklift. Many times you may not hear the forklift, and he or she may not see you. Use of cell phones or other electronic equipment should not be used around moving equipment in your plant. Always be aware of where forklifts are, and never loiter or just hang out in traffic lanes. Nor should you stand between a stationary object and forklift traffic. Sometimes as a pedestrian we are preoccupied with the work at hand. It is imperative that whenever we start to walk back into the plant, we need to look out for traffic from all sides. There are a number of methods used to keep pedestrians safe at a plant when walking around. Pay attention to any signs that may be present. They are there to remind you to stay well clear of forklifts. Also, mirrors are not just for the operators, but for pedestrians to use as well. If your plant has marked pedestrian walkways, stay within them. Pay attention to any forklift warning lights or even blue lights that shine on the floor. They are meant to warn you that a forklift is in your area. And always use the man doors. or exit doors rather than walking through the bay doors. This will limit your exposure to forklift traffic. One important rule is that no person is allowed under a raised load. For example, in this situation, the operator notifies his coworker to leave the area since he will be raising a load. Again, most accidents occur when there is a tip over, so you don't want to be in the area if this occurs. When a pedestrian approaches a forklift, the operator should lower his load and set the parking brakes, just in case the pedestrian steps too close to the forklift, and the pedestrian should stand 2 or 3 feet away from the forklift. Once in a while, take a look behind you. There may be a forklift approaching. You should avoid walking along moving forklifts and distracting the operator by engaging in conversation. Never yell or whistle for his or her attention. And of course, never hitch a ride on a forklift, even if it is time to go home. Never, under any circumstances, ride on a forklift's forks or simply be lifted up on a pallet. Appropriate equipment or machinery and fall protection should be used to conduct work at heights. Horseplay should never be engaged around a forklift, which brings up the point that if you are not trained and authorized, you are not allowed to operate a forklift. The good news is that pedestrian accidents can be prevented through traffic management in combination with safety equipment such as mirrors or high visibility clothing, and awareness training for both the forklift operator and the pedestrian.